You've been so good this year. I think you can open one early.
What? Just a bonus episode of the CX Mixer podcast.
Okay, no more silly AI opener. It's your host, Larry Thoma, with the CX Mixer podcast. We just wrapped up season 2, but I'm back again with a bonus Christmas episode. Gabe Larson had asked me to be part of his AI CX Summit recently, and I had a chance to sit down with some fan favorites from the podcast and ask them directly how they're leveraging AI in their customer experience. And it was just so good that I had to ask the production company to piece them together and put them into an episode so that way we could share that information with listeners. We had some great ones with Brianna from Hammett talking about sales agents, Kayla from Jackson talking about leveraging AI and phone support, my favorite, Tess from Dr. Squatch talking about Chad, the AI chatbot, and how to leverage personality in your chat. Maritza from Bobble Bar talked about AI and marketing and listening to your customers. Nancy from Caraway gave some hot takes on what she really thinks about AI. Jordan from True Classic let us know about how they're really pushing to not only do 30% automation with AI, but upwards of 70%. We had Logan Dunn from Wyze talk about looking at AI holistically in your tech stack. And then the ray of sunshine, Katie from Glossier, talking about how to reduce these low-touch tickets with AI. So we really covered a ton of topics, and it was just too much to let go. So I went ahead and put it in an episode. Let's go ahead and jump in and take a listen, and I hope everybody has a happy holidays. Hey, I'm excited to be here today with Brianna Moreno of Moreno Consulting Services. I've known you for almost 3 years now, I think.
Wow.
Feels like a while. When Gabe said, hey, we need to get some good people who've got some AI, I mean, like, you've worked with it closely. And I know you, when you get your hands on a technology, you really push the envelope or the boundaries of like what that technology can do. And I think that's always been what's been so fun to work with you across these brands. For those who aren't super familiar, give us a little bit of background around like what is an AI shopping assistant?
Yeah. Years and years ago when I was at True Classic, I kind of had this theory that I wanted to leverage AI in a way that our customers on the other end didn't really know if they were talking to a live agent or an automation. And so I started working with a vendor and really fine-tuning the idea of this virtual shopping assistant. It's so interesting to me because I know how long it took us to build and nurture this particular, piece of tech. And now you see it so much more prominently. I think the release of generative AI has made this more attainable for a lot of tech companies out there. But to me, again, as a shopper myself and putting myself in that perspective and then thinking about just all the different types of consumers, if we can automate that in some way by leveraging technology to drive conversion, then everybody wins. So if we can tap into a customer's buying habits, what do they steer clear from? If we can read their sentiment, like leveraging all of that super intuitive insight to help drive that checkout experience or help again, even from like a question or a problem, being able to practically provide solutions in those instances, then it drives down costs on the front end, right? You can show up for your customers wherever they want to be. And again, it's more of a personal touch because you're only going to show them what they're going to be responsive to, or you're going to avoid saying things that might trigger a negative sentiment and so on. So no matter what type of AI you're leveraging, it's only as good as the amount of time, insight, education that you're pouring into it. And that, it takes time, as you know. I think that's a misnomer. A lot of people think it's like a set it and forget it. But the reality is you have to constantly be investing in updating, training, adjusting the AI models, how they're responding. That definitely can be a little bit challenging.
Are these shopping assistants, these AI agent shopping assistants, are they mostly chatbots or like, because I'm thinking about when I'm on a brand website and I'm on the product description page and something pops up and it's like, hey, see something you like, have questions about this product. I see it a lot in fashion, in health and wellness. A lot of people like trying to educate. So are these usually sitting in the chatbot or are these emails?
Yeah, no, they're being activated now across every channel. So much so that you can even leverage AI across like social media moderation, which I caution just because AI is never going to get it right 100% of the time, especially if you're like a international brand. There's just cultural differences in the way we say things here in the US. It could easily misconstrue what it's trying to solve for, but they are literally releasing AI automations across every channel. So you'll see it obviously in chat, you'll see it in texts, you'll see it in email responses. I was conversing with a brand the other day and I was like, I knew obviously this was AI automation, which for the most part, it wasn't terrible, except there's little cues that it just doesn't pick up on.
Mm-hmm.
But again, at the end of the day, like even if we're able to automate small, significant amount, then that's fine. I would rather take the risk to allow a customer to bypass that automation if they don't want to get to a live agent. But yeah, no, I think it's really beneficial. So that way, that persona is across all your channels and you have consistency, and it again is alleviating whatever volume or workload that it can from your live agents.
So, you worked with women's fashion, obviously spent a lot of time in men's fashion. Now you're consulting with brands for like workwear and high-end purses and stuff. And so when I think about these shopping assistants, how do they handle things like if I'm looking at a black purse and I want something different, it just doesn't recommend me the same exact purse in a different color or just another black purse? How do they get to make it feel more human?
Yeah, so that is, again, the time that you're investing into it. Obviously, and this is the beauty of Shopify, is that it makes everything accessible for all of the tech stack. So they can look into Shopify and see your inventory, right? You can say, okay, I only want you to look at inventory within this location, just to, again, minimize risk. If you do have retail locations, you don't want AI to say, oh, we have, X amount in stock and they're all allocated to like a store in wherever. So you can really build into how do we educate that AI. And when you're working with some vendors that have intuitive analytics, that's going to be in your best interest because they're going to tell you these automations are working great, whereas these we need to invest in something. And how they discover that is, how does the customer respond to that? If they're getting frustrated, if they're identifying some sort of sentiment across everybody that's asking for this black handbag that's out of stock, then it tells the brand, you need to work on this. And then we can go in, educate the AI, update their responses, tell AI, make sure not to do this, that, or the other. Again, depending on how intuitive of a system you're using, but it's constant. It's constant kind of like reworking and tweaking. It's going to get it wrong sometimes, but the majority of the time it's going to get it right. And that's what you want. Like I said, we're willing to take the risk for the reward.
That experience is different if you're a basics fashion brand or a high-end fashion brand. At some point, a human agent has to step in, right? Somebody starts asking too many questions. Or do you think you just regardless of the industry, you just let the AI agent go as far as it can and hopefully get it right, like you said?
So I guess it depends on your consumer. With this high-end fashion brand right now, a lot of them are older clientele and they'll call in and say, I want to order this. They already know what they want. We already have their customer profile. We can 100% automate that. That's easy. Just like we can automate a Wizmo. Like it's easy to be able to say, here's your order status and be one and done. But in those instances where, yes, you can say, look, if this is a high intent to make a purchase, pass it over to a live agent. For us in this particular brand, I'm going to say, look, if they're a VIP or they're a regular customer, let's pass that over to a live agent. If they're like older demographic and they're not necessarily good with technology or automation, we want to pass those off to a live agent. So you really get to decide when and where. And that allows your agents to make more of an impact, right? On those specific conversations or situations where you need them to show up. And then let the automation handle all the low-hanging fruit that's easy that isn't going to need to necessarily be bypassed. But there are instances where 100%, if a customer calls up and says, I want to order this for me, they do it 100%
with the
all
agent.
without a human agent, then that's in our best interest for sure.
Yeah. Who do you think is doing this good today? Like that you think when you're looking across all these different brands, tech stacks, who's doing shopping agents good?
I will say I've had some recent experience with Intercom's Fin. It's pretty good as far as the capabilities and really being able to hone in on personalization and even just like customization. But there are some things that it can't do. Obviously, Zowie, I'm a huge fan of Zowie, especially now that they're releasing voice. What is just amazing to be able to record my voice and talk into it and for AI to respond. I obviously started this whole journey with Zowie, and they gave me a platform to say, look, you're an industry leader. What would make most impact for you? And we really built something that I'm super proud of to this day. And I know other brands that have also adopted it are seeing, ridiculous success. We're testing right now Postscript's Shopper, which is also an AI conversational type through SMS.
Yeah.
So I'll keep you posted on that. But I am tracking and looking at those conversations. And so far it seems to be working well. So I'm really hopeful for that. But again, anything that a consumer can respond to well and doesn't get frustrated and necessarily know that it's an AI automation, I think is a win.
So I'm a brand and I'm just dipping my toe into this whole idea around AI agents, right? I'm being tasked by the executives to reduce my agent headcount, automate more. Like, what could I say? Okay, this is what I should do. This is a success, and I'm leveraging AI successfully.
Yeah, I would say you want to hit at least the bare minimum of a 30% automation. And that's just taking into account the super simple help desk, right? Solutions. The thing with AI is brands have to know it's going to cost. But I would go into it with an analysis to understand, okay, what are my overhead costs, right? What am I paying per agent, per conversation, per channel? Because those are all different costs. And once you're able to narrow that down, then you'll have a budget to say, okay, what do we consider success? So I did this back with Flip CX, which is the phone automation. And they leverage a ton of AI. And I went from 3 full-time agents on phone support with a significantly, I think we were 70% missed call rate because you can only be on one call at a time, to nearly 0% missed call rate. And I dropped 2 full-time agents. So again, even if it sometimes looks like you're paying more out of pocket, right? Because you're cutting a check every month for this tech solution.
Yeah.
Removing that cost of overhead and driving significant impact, which is why CSAT is so important. When we did optimize Flip CX, it was important to me to know, but how are our customers feeling about this? I don't want to just stack on a solution and be like, great, it's working. I want to know, how do our consumers feel about it? So being able to survey them in that real time is important too, to make sure that your consumers are responding well to it. But I think, again, when we think automation, we have to understand costs. Am I saving costs? Am I driving conversion? What is the results of that? Yeah. And then at the same time, how are our consumers responding to it? Because again, how many times have we all had to deal with something that's automated, but you're frustrated? You don't love it. It's like Amazon. Right. Half the time, just to get to a real person is freaking pulling teeth.
Yeah.
And that's not a solution. It really hard.
Yeah.
It's fine in certain instances, but it has to be able to solve for no matter what your journey is, right? I have to be able to reach a human if I want to, or if my journey requires that. And so when they put all these roadblocks, it's really frustrating. So we can, stack on automation all we want, but I think it's important, and every brand should care how your consumer responds to that. And then obviously the costs and everything will prove themselves.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thanks so much for sharing the knowledge. I think this was a great session. And if people want to connect with you, they can connect with you on LinkedIn, right?
Yes, please.
Great. All right. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to be chatting with Kayla from Jackson. I've known Kayla now a little over a year, I think. Did we meet officially at E-Tail?
Yeah, I think so. So maybe we're close. We're getting close that 1 year.
Coming up on our year anniversary. I'll need some new jewelry. Yay. I forgot. I'm wearing my necklace. I should put it out.
Look at you.
As we were prepping for this, we were talking a little bit about how you are growing so quickly. You're leveraging AI more to automate stuff, but maybe give us a little rundown of where AI is helping Jackson today.
Yeah, I think it's something that we've been working on since, I feel like, tech companies started pushing it. And for us, we've gotten to the point where, well, number one, it really helps when we scale. We have a very busy holiday period. We're a very big brand for gifting. And so we use it mostly in our help desk and with phones. And we're able to do that, we can have a slightly smaller team. We can have our team members focus on either more important conversations or sales focused conversations. And then AI, has helped us get into a place where it's just helping us across the board, not only to answer questions for customers, but to provide additional details if it does make it to a human agent.
This is a hot topic on the CX Mixer podcast, phones, right? So you mentioned phones, and you guys have a customer-facing phone number.
We do, yeah.
So when somebody calls in today, how are you guys leveraging AI in that customer experience?
Yeah, so when they call in, they're going to always meet with AI. And AI is going to help them like, hey, either we know exactly who you are because you're connected to our system, or we're going to figure out, who you are, what you're calling about. If that can answer all their questions up front, amazing, because then that helps my team. We don't have as many calls coming in. Additionally, if that person still wants to talk to one of my agents, there's going to be information provided to them. So they already kind of have a head start. And then I don't need to have such a huge team. I think additionally, it does help for, I don't have to have my team running 24/7. They can, we have voicemails, we can have SMS sent out. And then that kind of helps too. If a customer is like, well, yeah, I can deal with this over SMS. I don't need to talk to someone, over the phone. But people might believe that people aren't calling in, but they are. They're calling us every day.
So you've been at Jackson now 5 years. How long have you had AI agents with phone?
We started implementing AI actually pretty early on. I want to say it was November, December of 2022. It was very minimal though. It kind of just helped deflect some calls, mostly for Wizmo questions, which, hey, that's fine. Like if you can send them the tracking information or, whatever, cool. And then I think from there it went to transcribing voicemails. I'm like, great, you don't have to sit there and listen to it. I can just see the message. And then from there, we kind of grew and to the point where I didn't need to have as many people on my phone team. And also I didn't have to extend the hours for the holidays. And it just made things so much easier.
How much would you say that it's automated your phone volume? Like a lot of the brands that we're talking to during the summit are saying 30 to 40% is kind of a goal of automation. Is that what you were seeing too, or more?
We started off seeing about 30% for phones. Now we're seeing 40 to 50%.
Okay.
We hover around a lot 45%, but I think now as it's getting busier, like we hope to see that go into the 50%. I think a lot of it is making sure all your stuff can integrate really well. I think, it's being aware of if a customer calls about this, can it be fully handled, And that takes a little bit of like thinking of all the possibilities. But yeah, if it's handling 50% of our calls, that's huge for us.
Yeah. And is it just answering like low level stuff, or are you starting to use, I know you guys leverage sales agents for AI. Is it doing any sales stuff, or is it really
does.
just
It answers product questions. We just started suggesting our #1 bestseller, like an order through phone. It also helps try to push away from return for refund and push towards like an exchange instead. It's definitely answering all FAQ questions, stuff like that. Also kind of realizing, okay, this is more of a serious topic. We're going to get you to a person right away. Or, hey, we're going to already just create a ticket for you so that you can be linked up with somebody. And then from there, if it doesn't really require a phone conversation, everything can happen through email or text message. And that makes it easier as well.
When do you pass it off to a human agent?
Yeah, when it goes for phone specifically, if it does go to, basically they're going to give them a response through AI for SMS or through email. If then the customer still asks questions, that's when a human takes over. But there are some options too. It can immediately say like, yeah, go ahead and send me a text, but I want to follow up right away with the person. Yeah. Or it's like we're kind of trying to give them the info they need. But specifically for that, that's when a human takes over. And we do have certain situations where like if a customer says a specific phrase or mentions like maybe a specific product, it'll immediately go to a person. Okay. And so we try to ensure that, there are certain things we just don't want AI to handle. We'd rather give the attention it needs and make sure that's what my team actually has the time for.
Yeah. And this has been kind of like my favorite question to ask people during this series. But so I'm a brand, I'm a jewelry brand, or I'm a fashion brand starting out, and I'm looking into this idea of whether it's AI sales agents, AI phone agents, what should I be looking for in a partner, in a vendor, or technology? How are you auditing this technology?
Yeah, I think having them be able to provide you a lot of additional insight is important. I think even if you have all the tools at your fingertips, you may not be asking the right questions or looking in the right places. And so that's what I always ask. I'm like, can you please do this for me? And then let's talk through it so I know what to look for in the future. I think secondary to that, testing is so important because, you just don't know what it's going to be like. And you also don't want to okay, you set something up and then you have to go be the customer when you could just have a test sandbox ready to go.
Yeah.
I will also say, what does that AI voice sound like too? You don't want anything that's too robotic or, you're just like, I'm stuck on the line with this robot. You want it to be just more authentic or at least something that's going to make you smile at a minimum.
I've never called into Jackson. Do you think the tone for your AI agents is more human or do people know that they're talking to AI or what do you think?
Give us a call because it creepily sounds like me.
Oh, like you?
It does. Okay. It's so creepy. But actually, I have to say, it sounds nice though. It sounds like a person. I kind of joke that I'm like, did you guys steal my essence and put it on here? But it does. And there's so many options you can choose from. So if you're an international brand and you want slightly more of a, one of those fake British accents that's like, oh, this sounds so fancy. Or maybe you are based in the South and you want a Southern accent or you want a man versus a woman or funny. I don't know. There's so many options to choose from. So it's actually very, very funny that this one sounds kind of like me. Not that the voice before sounded too robotic. I think for me, it's whatever sounds clear, doesn't sound too fake, understands what you're saying too. Because you hate when you're like representative, and you're just like, I can't get through. This system really helps. And that's something you need to be aware of too. If you're pretending you're the consumer and you hate this, I'm sure your customers are going to hate it too. So you really don't want that. And I think you just kind of have to play around with it and understand if at the end of the day, this doesn't work for you, find something else.
Obviously, it's handling sales. It sounds like you. Where do you think that this type of technology is going, or where would you like to see it go in a year or two?
Yeah, I think maybe pushing some of my agendas of suggesting certain things. Maybe my goal is always to get more reviews. And we've recently hit a really great milestone. We hit 100,000 5-star reviews. So that's been exciting. Thank you. But, sometimes there are certain products that maybe they just don't get a lot of love, even though I'm like, how is this possible? So many are selling. They're not even being returned. Why doesn't anyone want to review them? So maybe having that as an option saying, hey, it looks like you've purchased these items recently. Let's send you a review link. That would be super awesome. I think kind of getting customers, maybe excited for new products or, hey, I think you're going to like this. Certain suggesting kind of selling, I think is really exciting. But honestly, it's at the end of the day, it has to be accurate and it has to be consistent. You never want to be like, is this going to go rogue one day? And it's going to be the day that I'm on vacation or something.
Yeah, of course.
So that's where I think you have to level with it. If it can't do all these amazing things I want it to do, as long as it's saying the right thing, then we're good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I think everybody should call in and talk to the Kayla AI agent and test it out and see what it sounds like. But appreciate you sharing the information. If people want to connect with you, I know you're pretty active on LinkedIn and they can obviously find you at some of my CX Mixer events. Happy to make introductions, but appreciate you sharing the information, Kayla.
Of course. So happy to share. It's exciting to talk about this.
Super excited to be here with Tess from Dr. Squatch. We've known each other now for a year. You were on my CX Mixer podcast. You've been to a couple of the events. And so when I was thinking about this episode and thinking back to our podcast episode, one of the things, and I keep tagging you in these LinkedIn posts every time I talk about chatbots, but I still remember our episode where you talked about Chad, the chatbot at Dr. Squatch. And every time I clip our conversation and I have AI populate a Chad based off your description. I mean, for people listening, describe to him, because what I think is really cool about what you guys do with the chatbot is everybody names their chatbot. You have a loving name internally, but you guys gave your bot a personality and you fed it this image, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So something really important, and if you know Dr. Squatch, which I'm sure you do, it's we're all about how we're perceived and we want to speak to our fan base. And so when it came to our AI bot, tone, language, even personality, all of that was so key. And so in the back of my head, it is exactly like the AI image that you generated. We talk a lot about this, but I do think of a West Coast boy, probably surfer, loves football, probably very sports athletic dude, but then at the same time, like can down like a pack of 6 beers in one sitting. Very relaxed. You know, I said cheeky before, but I think more just corny sometimes, but in the best way possible.
So you implemented this AI chatbot during Q4. Did you see like any immediate benefits, or have you seen additional benefits since the last year?
Yeah, the immediate benefits were obviously like leveraging him for like our one-touch ticket volume, right? So we have a plethora of types of ticket that come our way, and a lot of it can oftentimes be like just one-off questions, especially during Black Friday, like what is your promotion? When will this arrive by? And like a lot of like shipping policy kind of questions. So he came in so clutch during that time of just like taking off those one-off easy answers for our customers. And then what we've additionally seen since then is just how much knowledge he's like gained from just assisting these customers with those one-off questions. But then also we went ahead and improved our help desk. We used to use this platform called Help Docs, and we actually transitioned all of it over into Gorgeous. So his like, what I imagine again with Chad is his brain was like this small, and it's just ever expanded now.
Yeah.
And all of our knowledge is constantly growing. It's growing with Chad as well. So I'm really impressed with just how much knowledge he can retain. And then, you know, one of the things that we're always afraid of with AI bots is like their free thought. They kind of go off the script. With him, like, yes, of course, every now and then he'll go off the script, but coaching him, guiding him, it's so easy, you know, and our team doesn't really have to oversee him so in the weeds all the time. It's more just like once every week, once every 2 weeks, we're like, all right, we've looked through these tickets. Kind of had your own thought process there, Chad. Let's get you back on track.
Yeah. Now, I know when we talked, you said that you guys kind of think of him as your 31st agent. So obviously there's 30 human agents before him.
Yeah.
When does the AI hand off to a human?
We still love to kind of have the guardrails when it comes to like, obviously our more tier 2 level inquiries, which typically are where our customers with like more of a longer history with us need more complex assistance, whether it's with like their subscriptions, if they need to swap out products, we still like to have that human touch. He's really great at like product recommendations and everything like that. But let's say a customer had, you know, an adverse reaction to a product. We obviously want a human to kind of be dedicated to that. So that way they, you know, make sure that they're adhering to like our compliance and safety and regulation, but also at the end of the day, if I'm reaching out to someone, Chad is great at sounding human, almost too great. But just for like the peace of mind for us and our team, we want to make sure that a human is assisting a customer that has like any concerns or elevated issues.
Now, obviously, sometimes your guys' collabs are not as popular with people. Does he handle complaints for you guys? Like people who want to call in? Like not even the people who were upset about Sydney Sweeney, but the people who didn't get the bar, right? Because I'm a fan of the brand. I'm in your guys' fan group on Facebook. I don't post anything, so don't come looking for me. But I see people posting, and they were so upset they didn't get it. I just picture them messaging into Chad being like, why'd you only make such a limited edition of these? Like, was he handling complaints for you guys and fielding upset customers?
Yeah, actually, he does a really good job. Again, sometimes he will have free thought, and we're like, okay. I love that you're trying to help this customer, but like with his tone, like remember, he's cheeky, he's casual, he's humorous. So let's say a customer's like, hey, I'm so upset that I was not able to get my hands on the Sydney Sweeney. He's like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Those suds got away from you. And I'm like, not the appropriate tone. I think it's funny. We're obviously like, okay. So yes, there are often times where like if a customer's a little upset with, you know, we had our One Piece collab, which was actually insanely popular. We definitely had some customers who couldn't get their hands on it. And he did a really great job at just not over promising, not sounding like, you know, almost sarcastic, like darn shucks, maybe next time. It's more just like we've really like been able to coach him to like meet the tone of the customer. Yes, we're like a fun, humorous brand, but at the same time, we also take our customers' concerns and suggestions and feedback very seriously. So we always want to match the tone. So he has been really good. Again, we coach him pretty regularly on tone. That's a big component of AI. I think he's also really good at knowing the customer's tone and being like, all right, I'm not helping with this situation. Let me get you a human to help you with this.
I know. I've been wanting to go in and test this because you say that people come in and have conversations with him and go back and forth. And I'm like, I need to start, but I don't want to end up on some wall at Dr. Squatch where people are like, longest conversations without purchasing a product from the chatbot or something. Does he?
No, please. I would love for you to test it out.
Is it a selling assistant as well? Like you talked about product recommendation, but is it actually answering questions and pushing people to cart now, or?
Yeah, so ideally that was the goal. We operate a little bit differently with our inventory on the back end. So obviously we have like our Shopify, but then we also have NetSuite. So our inventory lives in NetSuite, and it isn't. Hopefully in Q1 of 2026, we do plan to integrate our NetSuite and Shopify and have it be all seamless. So
Yeah.
in that case, we were one of the early onset testers for the Shopify like assistant aspect of AI. But unfortunately, because of the way that we have our inventory integrated, it just wasn't ideal for us. That being said, he's still incredible with product recommendations. Feel free to test it out, but like if a customer gives like his own scent recommendations and stuff, he'll be able to kind of like suggest our best sellers, or if you like more, tropical scents, he'll be like, oh, I think coconut castaway is right up your alley. And he's really good at that. Yeah, the hopeful 2026 vision is that he could actually kind of convert those into like sales, but
Yeah.
I'm sure he's already kind of doing it. We just don't have a way to track it.
Moving them to cart or linking to cart is what we kind of talk to people about with sales assistants. When we look at like Chad, where do you see him being in the next 12 months, like evolving into outside of maybe like this sales assistant?
I mean, honestly, the action portion of what he's been able to do, I want to see more of it. I'd love for him to then like be able to do subscription swaps, adjust their subscription. Like he does do like the basics, but I want him to be more in detail with the actions that he can provide. This is like a scary thing to say, right? But like he's already kind of like human enough, but I almost want like that tone to be even more human, because sometimes you can still tell it's a little bit generated, and oftentimes it's still like good. We want to be able to tell AI apart from human, but I think there's still opportunity for him to kind of really evolve with the way that he can gauge a customer's frustrations and be able to sit across from the table and be like, yeah, this sounds like a bro.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question. I was just thinking as you were talking. So these 50 agents, do you see your agents like using the AI chatbot to be like, ooh, tell me about this soap or whatever?
1000%. In fact, we actually encourage it. I never want it to feel like a competition between AI and you, but like, I think there's still a lot of like great opportunities for even our agents to learn from how Chad handles interactions with our customers, especially when we early onset tested. We definitely didn't want it to feel like it was replacing our agents. So having them test it out, having them provide feedback to us on how to improve our AI bot, that creates like a teamwork mindset rather than this tool that's just replacing. I've also definitely seen our team members use even some of his sentences and like phrases within their own personalized emails. So I really love that it's been like a tool in terms of how we can always enhance our communication with our customers. I also think they've done a really great job at testing it for product recommendations. So one thing we do on the back end is we have consistently left like an Excel sheet where all of our agents and our managers and team leads from Horatio side can leave feedback. And so they'll even like go through tickets if Chad passed off a ticket and they didn't think that Chad did the best job at interacting with the customer. They'll link that ticket, provide the feedback, provide the suggestions to us. So one of the main reasons why our AI tool is so great is because of our associates, because of our agents, because they really do want it to make their jobs easier too, Yeah. It's just a consistent collaborative like effort between the agent and our AI tool.
I love that. And I appreciate you sharing this information and giving us a little insight into how you guys are leveraging AI, and hope everybody listening goes and tests out Chad, buys some Dr. Squatch. Please. And would love to see some feedback on the experience, but I think you guys are doing it in a really cool way.
Oh, thank you, Larry. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I always encourage anyone to go to our website and flirt with our AI bot. Please bring it on.
I think that's how we end this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Thank you, Larry.
Hey everyone, super excited to be talking to my friend Maritza with Bobble Bar again. Hi Maritza.
Hey Larry, how are you?
Good. It's been some time since we chatted on the CX Mixer episode, but your episode with Glossier was such a hit. I think it's actually one of the most listened to episodes on Spotify right now. So for my CX Mixer, not for everybody, but for the CX Mixer. That's what I'm excited to talk to you about today. Like obviously that experience came through on the podcast, and for this, I think AI's come up for brands so quickly, right? So you've kind of seen what Bobble Bar was like without it and with it. And so maybe walk everybody through where Bobble Bar is leveraging AI today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, I think everybody knows that AI is definitely one of those things that you kind of have to adapt or else you're going to be in the past. So we very recently launched our AI within our customer service segment, which we're currently utilizing it to really handle like the really low hanging fruit, things from product descriptions, really simple questions that, our information's on our website. So something that AI can leverage 100% of the time. And that opens up our human customer service agents to really help nuance with customers on, really specific tickets. We customize. Our assortment is really big on customized jewelry and accessories. And all of those are so nuanced with our manufacturer. They have different timelines. So to allow our agents more time to focus on these more intense matters, they're using AI to kind of gather all the information first, and then they're able to like specialize and dive in. And also they can handle the more fun things too, like styling questions, shopping questions. We don't get as many fun ones during non-holiday, but now we're getting all the husbands, the boyfriends, and asking, what do I get my wife? And we're very happy to kind of handle those questions and let AI handle the more boring problems.
How many of those boring ones do you think AI is handling? Like what percentage would you say that Bobble Bar has been able to automate through AI?
We're still in our first quarter of using AI, but we're like really happily seeing 40% of our tickets, going through AI. And again, it's just simple tickets that information's on our product pages, on our website. But, a new customer may not always know how to navigate your website. So it's been really impactful to be able to meet them immediately with their needs and their concerns. So really excited to see that.
And I think when we were prepping for this episode, like Bobble Bar is a trendy brand, right? If no one's looked at it, this is the time to look. This, like you said, holidays are coming up.
Yes.
Hit Maritza up to know what to buy your teen daughter, your wife, your girlfriend.
Yes.
But we talked a little bit about this in the prep, like that social selling, this AI.
Exactly. And I think something that we've seen as brands within our same space, that AI is not so much a automator for, just answering tickets. It is an amazing asset to have. But in general, we're starting to see this conversion of customers utilizing the native AIs of Google, using Copilot, ChatGPT. They're focusing so many of their questions on these like AI platforms. And we're seeing how AI is kind of generating the next form of marketing and customer segmentation. And we're trying to leverage AI currently, as a brand, as businesses, to see how can we get our AI summary to be more in line with what we want to put out there. So it's a really interesting topic, and different brands and companies are handling in such interesting and nuanced ways. So I think in the next year, we're really going to see like how AI is going to be leveraged as a new like marketer, like how can we get ChatGPT to tell everybody to go buy Bobble Bar, like that's kind of where we're seeing the talk and the chatter go.
So when you're looking into this, is it pulling in things you think from social media, from Reddit, from your website? Is that where you guys are really focused on making sure that it's giving the most robust feedback for people that are like, hey, I'm looking for customizable jewelry or whatever it might be when they're talking in ChatGPT?
Yeah, so I think this is actually funny. And if you haven't done this for yourself or your brand, you probably should. You can just go into ChatGPT and be like, tell me the most common thing about Maritza, right? You can find like so much of your own public information, but for like brands, we should be doing these same exercises. And what you'll find maybe might not be what you expected. And that's going to be so indicative of like, okay, where do you now need to go find this source material and see how you can edit or get ahead of it. And so, for instance, we also find that customers are so specific about what they want, and they'll go to Google, get the AI response of like, I want something that I can order on 11/5 to be here for my friend's birthday on 12/30. And AI will give you the most random results. And sometimes it will pull like the top brands for custom jewelry, you know? So we're trying to figure out how we can best ensure that our AI results are in line with what we want out there. And it's so much about how you're phrasing your FAQs, how you're going on to Reddit and moderating, YouTube, TikTok. There's so much information out there. So it's both interesting, but also probably a little overwhelming for people who are just doing it for the first time.
Yeah. While you were saying that, I just quick pulled up ChatGPT and wrote, "Tell me everything you know about Larry from Park Lab."
Yeah.
What's actually really interesting is it pulls in, he describes himself as the Midwest dad and hype king of CX, which suggests, but then what's really weird is I have Honey on my browser and it pulled up Caraway, Nutrafol, and C's Candy, which are all Parcel Lab customers, but I'm not shopping at Nutrafol right now. So it's interesting that it also pulled that in to like almost recommend products to me that are my customers that I work with. That's crazy. So I think if anybody's looking at this, it gave me I'm gonna have to read this and really think about myself.
Don't do it when you're feeling bad about yourself. Maybe,
Because I thought you were going to say, go in and tell me all the pros and cons of Bobble Bar. When you said, tell me about Maritza, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Because I've never thought, they always say like, oh, Google yourself, but I've never thought to ask ChatGPT what it knows about me. So super interesting to think about like how it's pulling. And I can see it's like linking all the content and the podcasts that I've been on and everything.
Exactly. And you're just one person. You're not even a brand. So imagine what the results are for individual brands that like Google themselves, but these AI algorithms are pulling from so many different source materials. And sometimes they'll hyperlink everything. So you're like, oh, wow, okay, let me go see this review from 2024. And it's odd how like such old information can still be one of your top results. Yeah. So I think it's like really interesting to see like, wow, we have to really do a lot to maintain our brand. And I think AI is going to make it more difficult, but also pretty easy to find where everything is, right? But it's kind of playing whack-a-mole, right? Like, what are you going to put your time and attention on fixing, fighting, replacing?
The nice thing is you have like a lot of products that skew more towards teen, early 20s girls, and they're very vocal on social media with mostly positive stuff. So you guys are probably pulling in a ton of good feedback and stuff like that. I think back to your episode with Katie from Glossier on CX Mixer, we talked a lot about this community building, right? And that must play a lot into AI and social selling and stuff like that, and being able to kind of see how people are interacting and pull that data in. But curious, when you look ahead, so 10 years at Bobble Bar, you look ahead to the next 10 years. Technology is changing so fast. So let's say like the next 12 months, like where do you see AI sitting in CX? Where would you like to see it sit for you guys?
If I couldn't just like manifest this out there, I have no tech brand, I have no tech platform who's making this possible for me. I'm just going to say it out there. I would love to be able to leverage AI in terms of review moderation. I think that is kind of like where the next step of it goes. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need to handle the reviews with AI, but to have some platform or dashboards. And I know that there are like Site Jabbers, Trust Pilots out there that kind of help you manage your review moderation, but like that's not the holistic of like TikTok. That's not Instagram. There's so much social chatter out there. To find a platform that can help you kind of plug into there and make sure you're seeing the overall sentiment of your program, of your product, and the sentiment of your brand. That would be ideal, because sometimes these micro influencers are so important and they have such a loyal following that you would think that someone with maybe 1 million followers would be more important to your like overall AI sentiment than say a micro influencer who maybe only has 5,000 like followers, but they're like the most tight knit community out there. So
I'm not your demographic probably, but I'm more likely to listen to like a micro influencer, because if I see somebody with millions of followers, I think, oh, Bobble Bar probably paid for this review. But if somebody has less, then I'm like, this is authentic, right? Even though it could be authentic for somebody larger as well. And I think that ties back into the ChatGPT piece. If you can go and like make sure your reviews are looking good, what people are saying about you, then you can make sure that you're feeding that positively into these queries when people are asking about different types of products and comparing and contrasting.
Exactly. And I think that like this is not to say like, oh, I hate negative reviews. Negative reviews are so important as well, just for the overall product development phase. And I think that's something where like, do I hate that we get negative reviews here and there? Absolutely. But they're almost always indicative of a root problem. And, we have to be mindful, not everybody knows everything we know. Everybody learns differently. So like to see those reviews or positive reviews, they're so important for a brand in general. So like to be listening to what's happening on social where you have so many different perspectives, it's so important.
Yeah, I love all that advice. And I knew asking you to be on this talk, you'd give a lot of actionable advice here for brands. So appreciate that.
Of course.
If people want to connect with you, they can connect with you on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
I always say that. You're pretty good about connecting with people on LinkedIn, or maybe see you at an upcoming CX Mixer event.
Yes, I would love that. I think we were in our previous happy hour, we just turned into like a massive amount of rant across all the brands. And it was so interesting to see like what might be someone's headache is another person's like they love it. And it was so interesting to see how different brands attack the same problems. And they're usually in such completely different ways.
Yeah, no, that's why we create that. That's why we're doing this summit too. So I appreciate you sharing your information and look forward to talking to you again.
Always happy. Always a pleasure, Larry.
Hey everyone, I've got Nancy from Caraway here. Super excited for this chat. I can't imagine nobody doesn't already know you, right?
I mean, I'm not that popular. Come on, Larry.
I mean, if you follow you on LinkedIn, you're like a little bit of a thought leader here in the e-commerce space. So maybe let's talk a little bit high level of how you are using AI today in customer experience and where you think it's doing really well. And then I'd like to pick your brain on like when brands are talking to vendors, like what they really need to be looking at. So maybe kind of give us a little overview on how Caraway is leveraging AI or your roadmap for AI.
Yeah, honestly, once it became a buzzword, I couldn't help myself. I jumped right into it and started to explore how we can utilize it across the customer experience, whether it was on site, within our chatbot, internal for agents on an assist level. There are so many different touch points that AI can make. And the one thing that I actually wish I knew when I talk to vendors is the aspect of hallucinations. Nobody, when you are vetting a vendor, talks about hallucinations and what to expect. The first time I experienced a hallucination, my entire chatbot went down and everything was wrong. I felt I was completely gaslit and alone. And then I reached out and spoke to a few people in the industry and found out like, oh no, hallucinations are actually completely normal and you can expect it because as you're building and adding new resources to your AI, just like humans can take a second to actually learn it and understand what information they're actually pulling or not pulling.
What do you mean by hallucinations?
It's just when everything's completely wrong. I guess hallucinations is like the pretty word to use, but everything is wrong. Nothing is correct. It is speaking as if it has never learned about your company whatsoever.
Do you have, so a lot of these conversations I'm having, brands are like really hyper-focused for 2026 and we want to use AI to automate X% of our customer experience. For you and your team, do you have a goal like that? Or are you just still trying to figure out where AI can really naturally fit in with your flows?
So it's kind of a twofold there. It's where does it fit in with the flows, but where does it make sense for the customer as well? Naturally, if it's something like Wizmo or, was my order actually placed? Customers don't mind using AI for that. And that's something our agents don't need to actually pay attention to. So that's fine to automate. What I have noticed is when it actually comes to the issue part of customer experience, if there is an issue, no matter how good your chatbot or your email automation is set up, nobody wants to talk to a robot when they are feeling upset and slighted by a company, which rightfully so. If you've ever been on a call with FedEx, you know that you're yelling, speak to a human, no matter what their automation is set up to do. And that's where I want to be very cautious in 2026 is, can we have AI assist in those situations? Or should AI just not be included whatsoever? What actually helps customers feel more heard and what makes them feel invisible by adding in that AI?
I think like obviously trendy product, high AOV, right? For your order value is pretty high.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like not ripe for fraud, but I think you probably more than some brands have the potential for people to be like, ooh, I want to order I want to order a bunch of these. I want to try to scam the system or whatever. And I think AI in pre-purchase, we talked a little bit about this, like you guys are leveraging no fraud today. How important is AI in catching potential bad actors for you guys?
It's so important because when it comes to these criminals, they know exactly how to overwhelm an agent. Naturally, with anyone, if you're getting yelled at, you don't have that extra time to think. You're just like, okay, how can I solve this? How can I solve this? By utilizing a service like No Fraud, we're actually able to just rely on the hardcore data and history behind the customer and see exactly why someone is a bad actor. Everyone thinks Caraway is this huge, huge company. And while we feel big, we're still a very small but mighty team. So having, No Fraud in place really helps us verify the cold hard information, and we don't have to go searching for it. We don't have to consider what the customer is saying when we have the evidence that they're just getting one over on us.
And now, so AI for this is like saying, if I order 15 of the same frying pan, same size, I'm probably a fraudster or an avid gifter, right? And then something comes up. But it's these like weird nuances that AI can catch where then your team doesn't have to spend the time actually investigating it. I'm not a no fraud expert, but like the way that I understand it is it doesn't actually like decline the order, but maybe flag something to say like, hey, look into this a little more. This is something weird, right? Because it sees all this weird stuff. How are you really leveraging that from like an AI standpoint?
Yeah, so it's honestly, there's a lot of folds within what No Fraud can do for you. And it's not just those single, orders where it's like 10 fry pans. Candidly, we are stocking up these criminals' kitchens. Like they probably are so decked out in Caraway, it's insane because there's no pattern to it. And the easiest way to get away with it is to not have a pattern in your order. But within, No Fraud, it is able to tell us, are they ordering from Washington, but they're in Nevada? That big stark difference there is really important. Are they sending, their order to an open house and not an actual residential address? Those are things that typically we would have to take the time to actually research on our own. But with No Fraud system, they're doing it automatically for us and pushing it over to us. I think a lot of people think of AI and they're like, oh, it's ChatGPT. It's just going to answer, for me in a paragraph. But it does way more than that when it comes to like analyzing your actual data and presenting it to you.
So when you're talking to these vendors, and I know you talk to a lot of vendors that maybe you're not even looking to leverage just for Caraway, but just for your own personal interests. And obviously a lot of brands come to you and ask for advice. Like you said, the AI is a buzzword for a lot of people. And I kind of make that joke even with Parcel Lab when I talk about some of our AI products. I'm like, all those fancy buzzwords, AI, machine learning, blah, 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 right? So when you're talking to these vendors and they're telling you that their AI is so great, what are you looking into to know, is this real or is this just all fluff?
As soon as I'm looking at a vendor, I'm doing my own research as to who's actually signed up with this vendor, and I'm reaching out to them on my own. Obviously, you can have references set up by the company, but those are going to be their best customers. I want to talk to the actual, CX leaders that are utilizing this product that might not get the perfect CSM or, the best attention from someone because they're a smaller brand versus a larger brand. That's one. And the second part is I actually press the companies and I ask them, okay, I know all the good, but what's the bad? What has been a sticky situation that you've actually had to resolve for a company before? And asking them to be very vulnerable with that is huge. And there's companies that play into that and they'll let me know like, hey, this happened and it took us 2 weeks to fix and we had to do X, Y, and Z, but it's not going to happen again because we actually researched it and this brand is still with us and they're happy, et cetera, et cetera. There are, on the other fold, a lot of companies that are like, yeah, well, nothing bad happens. We're here. We're always here to help. And they kind of brush over the question. So that's never too helpful when I'm looking for a vendor. I want the transparency. I know things are going to go wrong. There's no platform that I use as a partner that has never not had an issue. There's always an issue one way or another. And it's about showing up for, your partner and speaking with them and being that vulnerable with them.
When someone tells you, so a common theme of these conversations have been like, oh, we want to automate, this tool will automate 30% of your customer tickets or inquiries, whatever it might be. If somebody comes to you and tells you, oh, we can do 70%, are you like, yeah, probably not, right? Because you were saying before when we were prepping for this that even for Wizmo calls, you find that your customers try to bypass the AI all the time, right?
Yeah.
Where other brands are saying, oh yeah, the AI agents for Wizmo are great. So I think something that I'm learning from talking to all of you guys today is that AI looks different for every company. It can't really be a blanket because you have to look at the customer, the product type, the demographic, the location, and the brand image. And I think obviously like Caraway's very visible brand. You're visible on LinkedIn, you're visible on social media. People feel like it's really approachable. So probably aren't super fans of if they sniff AI or think it's AI, like dealing with that.
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good you make your AI, how good I think it is. You, Larry, anybody in the e-com world, I can hit up Tanner from Order Protection and he can tell me I have the best AI possible. But if there is an everyday person who's a teacher in an elementary school, it's how they want to use the AI. And we have to focus on the consumer as well, because they're the ones who are actually going to be adapting to it. And we're just not there yet. I think that there is a large amount of people that are curious about it in their personal lives, but when it comes to the actual service and experience that you're getting from a company, they want that human connection, especially with Caraway Home. We're all about spreading the word of, creating a non-toxic home and the healthier alternatives that you can opt into. And that's not something you want to talk to a robot about. Although apparently a lot of people do go to GPT and ask health advice. They don't want to do that when they're shopping and dropping $500 on a cookware set. That's just not something that computes to them. If it's for personal research, that's fine. When it comes to spending your own money, you want that human connection, especially since we're really moving away from brick and mortar stores as well. Like that's just not something that an everyday shopper can get anymore.
Right. I think that the buying trends have changed.
Yeah. I remember I worked in retail before, and if you were in retail, you couldn't be on your phone 10 years ago. Now you walk into a store, you can't find anyone on the floor to help you. It's insane.
I know. So to wrap it up, like looking forward, let's say like looking for even 12 months, because I think technology changes just so fast. Where do you think the future of AI and customer experience is going to be? Like if you had to guess, or where you'd like to see it go?
I want to see it stronger on the analytics side, personally, as well as the assist side. So I want to see how I can utilize AI to get my agents' speed up to date and have all the information they need at the touch of their fingertips. That's going to help them be the best human contact possible versus just layering it on site. So I think that there is going to be a strong shift of what AI looks like internal facing versus external facing.
Yeah, I love that. And I think great conversation. If people want to connect with you, they can connect with you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Right.
Or through Larry.
Obviously.
Just,
Or through me. Come to one of our CX Mixer events. I'll make an introduction. But appreciate you sharing your like candid thoughts on this. And always a pleasure, Nancy.
Of course. Bye.
Hey, super excited to chat with Jordan from True Classic. We have known each other now for a little over 2 years, I think, right?
Yes.
Don't I get like an award for being like one of the longest running partners for you or something, or for True Classic?
I'll make you one.
Okay, there you go. So given like that AI is super big for you guys, what is an area in your customer experience journey that you think AI has helped impact the most?
Yes, I would say our Wizmo type tickets. So customers coming in asking where their orders are, have their orders shipped, or even on the flip side saying like my order's been returned to sender or anything like that. I think AI has been really beneficial in helping to support those customers. It allows us to free up agents to work on more complex tickets.
So are people reaching out to you guys like via email or phone or chatbot, or where is this like Wizmo deflection happening with AI?
Yes, we actually have Wizmo deflection across all three. So for phones, we are using Flip, who helps us automate our Wizmo tickets. And then in our chat and email, we are utilizing Parcel Lab to deflect those tickets using their AI agents.
And I think people might be surprised because like, obviously we work together. I work at Parcel Lab and I'm familiar with Flip. Typically, when you think about post-purchase, you're giving customers already like a, hey, your order's shipped, your order's out for delivery. They're already getting that, but you're finding that still people are reaching out to customer service. Do you think it's the demographic for True Classic, or what do you think is the reason that that's kind of happening more?
I actually think it's just the way that we now look at package shipping, not just at True Classic, but people can order on Amazon and it shows up at your door the next day or in the next 2 to 3 days. And unfortunately, that's not how it happens for everybody. So when a package doesn't arrive in 4 to 5 days, customers are immediately reaching out to customer service to try to figure out like where that is. Yes, you could click on your tracking link, but not everybody likes to do that. Sometimes people want more in-depth information than they think they can get from the tracking. So it's not that it's not on its way. It's just that we have kind of built up this expectation in society. And so with Wizmo and automation behind Wizmo, we're able to read the tracking, share the exact location of the package, let a customer know if there's an estimated delivery date, and just make sure that they have all of that information at the tap of their fingers versus having to go search for it themselves.
And I think people are always surprised. Like we talked about this when you were on my CX Mixer podcast, but like how important phone is. It's such a hot topic, and that people actually call in to say, where's my order? You guys are leveraging Flip. When that comes to AI, are you finding that's taking a lot of time off your agents, or how is AI working with phone?
Yes, I think that it is taking a lot of time off of our agents. We've been able to cut back from having 3 to 4 agents on phones for 8 hours a day to having 1 to 2 agents on phones, depending on just the seasonal time. And it allows people to still feel like they're being heard through that vocal channel while not necessarily taking like an agent's time, especially because we know phone tends to be the longest ticket type. So when you get somebody on the phone, it's not like a hi bye like an email or chat. It is oftentimes a drawn out conversation. So by having Flip take the Wizmo tickets first and really dig into those, provide all of those updates for a customer, it minimizes that back and forth talking time that oftentimes happens on the phone.
And then you guys just launched kids clothing and women's clothing.
Correct.
Are you finding that more people are reaching out or concerned? Like, because obviously we talk about this a little bit too on CX, like, right, male consumers or male shoppers don't reach out as much. Are you thinking that like your people wondering where the order's going to be increased now that you're selling to women, or is that something you guys are anticipating?
I do not actually anticipate that. And maybe it's just the way that I have natively shopped. I feel like I am more patient than my husband. That could just be like us, but I feel like my husband's like constantly following up on tracking. I feel like I'm not following up until I am like, oh, where did that package go? Of course, we're going to plan for it though, as if it's going to happen and be prepared for that. And what we've been doing is actually training our AI to be able to look at the products that a customer purchased and potentially change the tone of voice, because men and women inherently are different. They shop different and the behaviors are different. And we want to make sure that AI is still attempting to treat each customer like the individual that they are, adding a little bit of different tonality, picking up on those products when they're talking about those Wizmo orders.
Now, I'll throw a little bit of a curveball here for you. I know you don't like to wing it, but I was just thinking while we were talking, where's my order is important, but what about like, where's my refund? Are you guys automating any of that with AI?
Yes. So I think that there's a time and a place for it. What we have found is that AI oftentimes wants to say it can take 3 to 5 business days for your refund to process back, because that's what it can pick up from the FAQs. I am working on building out the ability for AI to read Shopify tags, because that's how we utilize our refunds. So if it says return closed and they have not been refunded, then there's an issue there. There was a disconnect and we need to get a human involved, because somebody needs to manually issue that refund and find out why it didn't fire. Now, if the return hasn't been received and it's still open, then we can utilize that. It takes 3 to 5 business days once your order's been scanned for the return to get closed out. So I think that there's a time and a place, but it is definitely a little bit more of a challenging one, because it oftentimes requires a more in-depth look. And so you have to train on those tags and utilization.
I think that kind of leads into what I was going to ask you, is like, where's my order type situation should go, or what's missing? And it sounds like maybe that's sort of a gap where if the data that you're giving the agent is too vague, it's not pulling in enough stuff like a human who can cross-reference a bunch of different areas to be like, okay, I know that this means this. And they're just saying, like, I guess what I was thinking is a lot of brands are now moving to refund on inspection, or like once it gets back to the warehouse, to minimize fraud. So I can see more people calling in, especially around the holidays when they need their money, being like, hey, where's my refund? Did you get my order back? And AI, I could see that throwing people off. Like, you should get it in 3 to 5 days.
I think that it can work. I just think you have to have a very clear tagging structure, and that tagging structure cannot change. So like somebody can't come in and be like, oh, I don't like the way that this tagging structure pulls for my backend reporting, so I'm going to change it so it makes more sense in reporting, because it could very well be feeding the information to the AI. So I think it's possible. I think it requires upkeep and training, but I can see more and more AI companies leaning into that type of structure going forward.
Yeah. When like a brand like True Classic is looking at AI partners, and I know you and I talk a lot about AI partners that you're looking at, what are things that you think a brand should be thinking about when it comes to bringing on AI? I know we talked a lot about how you push really hard on your AI partners to automate a lot, where most people might be okay with 30%. You guys want 70%. I think you had told me that when we were chatting last time. So maybe tell me a little bit about like when you're vetting out this AI technology to bring into the customer experience team, like what are you looking for?
Yes. So I think that while we want to automate a lot and 70% is always that kind of goal, it's looking at the actual quality of the AI as well. Because if the quality is negative, it's ultimately going to potentially lead to that customer starting a second or a third ticket to try to get away from the AI, creating additional work. So I think it's important to not only look at how much is being automated, but what is the quality of that automation. And from there, deciding what's the trade-off. We have tickets that we absolutely do not want AI touching, and we utilize those keywords to kind of make a bypass ruling so that you can automatically get to an agent. So I think it's really important to just look at what is your brand, what is your brand tone, what is your brand voice, and what are you comfortable with AI touching. Now, I do think that with that, you can automate a lot, but there's also room for AI to help your agents and support your agents. So some AIs will write drafts so that your agent can kind of review it, but all of the information's there and the agent just has to fix and kind of send. So it's a partnership. AI doesn't necessarily have to take over, but there are multiple ways you can utilize AI to become more efficient.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm learning as I talk to more brands around how they're successfully leveraging AI. It's not to overtake the entire process, but as much as they can, and then hand it off so it's like a warm handover to an agent. Hey, where's my order? Where's this order? Type of a situation. And then when it sees that it's troubled, it's like, let's pass this off to somebody else to really tell them what's going on with their order, right?
Yeah, and that handoff needs to be seamless, because it adds to frustration when it's not. When it's an abrupt handoff, or the customer has to continually ask to speak to a human, or the AI asks too many questions to even get that handover, that's when somebody just closes out and decides to start over again. And then they're unfortunately sometimes thrown back to the beginning versus still getting to a human agent. So I think it's really important that you have the rulings and the sets to make sure that your agent to human and your human to AI agent is seamless.
You talked a little bit about how like you had 3 people that were answering phones full time, 8 hours a day, right? And then now you've added in some AI agents with Parcel Lab, with Flip. So over the 5 years that you've been there, have you seen like AI coming in and really helping to actually let you guys do more with less people? Or do you find that you're still kind of like, it's just enhancing? I guess I'm just curious, because you run with such a lean team compared to other brands that I talk. Have you always had this lean team?
We have been able to get more lean over, I would say, the last about 18 months utilizing AI. So the last 2 Q4s, we have had minimal ramp up when it comes to hiring additional agents. We are really leaning into AI. And when AI is taking over your Wizmo, we know that during Q4, the top asked question is, where's my order? Because everybody's anticipating getting their stuff for the holidays. And so knowing that our Wizmo is as strong as it is, we don't have to staff up for that necessarily. We just have to make sure we're maintaining and training AI to be able to continue handling those during Q4.
Yeah, I love that. And so, Jordan, appreciate you sharing all this information. I think super important. I know if any people, AI vendors are reaching out to you, you're going to put them through the ringer. So just a fair warning to anybody watching this. But if anybody wants to connect with you, they can connect with you on LinkedIn. And I appreciate you sharing some information today.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Larry.
Hey, everyone. I'm here with my friend Logan Dunn from Wyze. Logan, we've known each other now for 2 years, maybe? Has it been
more
2
than
years?
that? It's been like 3.
Has it been 3?
Between like 2 and 3.
I think when we were tasked to like find people to talk about AI, I thought you would bring a lot of interesting ideas to the conversation because not only are you guys already a tech company, right? So you probably look at technology different than say a fashion brand or like a beauty brand, but curious to hear like how Wyze is leveraging or how you're thinking about AI in your customer experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a tech company, our product itself has AI built into it. And we're trying to use the generative AI in addition to just machine learning models, not AI, but still this machine learning. And we do that for recognition models, like to know if it's a pet, a package, whatever it might be, facial recognition, all of that stuff. And then our most recent AI detection services are we call them descriptive alerts, where it will describe what your camera is seeing. And then on top of that, we've got video search where you can just search for like raccoon and it will find you videos with raccoons that it's seen. So the AI is at the heart of what we do. And we have multiple people on our company with PhDs in machine learning, data science, and artificial intelligence. And so they're the ones developing our models. We're partnering with big models as well to do some of this stuff. But I just put that foundation because your question is around consumer experience. Mm-hmm. But I bring that foundation in because what that means is our CEO, Yun Zhang, is always like, what are we doing to leverage generative AI? And I mean, every company is thinking about that. But I do think it's really important that your leadership team coming from top down is constantly pushing us. Like we're on Shopify and he had me put together like a little doc that was like, how can Shopify better leverage AI? And he wanted me to kind of report back and be like, what are we doing with AI specifically for the Shopify platform?
Yeah.
But really, it's in every platform. It's like, how do you use it for customer service? How do you use it for sales? How do you use it for post-purchase? And so we're thinking about it everywhere and we're trying to apply it everywhere. We're applying it in our content creation a lot as well, which I think most people in the consumer business are doing. But specifically for customer experience, we have a few things happening. Of course, we have our customer support agent. It's being powered by an AI model. We use a company called LiveX. Since we began, it's been hugely successful and we've had various metrics. And I'm not over the customer support specifically. We structure a little bit different than traditional DAC, mostly because we also have like consumer electronics tech support, right? Mm-hmm. So that's handled by our customer support leader, Bruce. But I mean, he's seen huge success with these models. We've gotten to a point where we're hovering between like 80 to 85% AI self-service rate.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've been talking to brands and they're like 30 to 40% is usually good. So that's really good.
Yeah, and it might be like that more for general orders and things, I don't know, but we're also trying to solve again like people's problems with setup and all sorts of stuff. And and now of course in order for the AI to be there, you have to have a really strong content base. It has to pull from somewhere. So we have over 2,000 articles for our support system. We're constantly publishing new articles based on the feedback that we get. And that's all, again, Bruce's organization, but it feeds into the AI. And then he also has a feedback loop on the AI to decide what else to publish and write and clarify. We do regular meetings with the LiveX team to increase those models. And then we just yesterday launched LiveX on Wyze.com. It's currently, if you go there and you don't see it, it's because you're probably in an A/B test. But we are testing it right now. We used to have a different agent, and so we just switched to LiveX so that we can leverage a pre-sales bot that also has access to the deep wealth of experience with our customer support. Because, when people come to support.wyze and they interact with the AI, they want support. Yeah. But a lot of times they don't go there first. They come to Wyze.com and they'll engage with the search and the bot. And so we're tying that together to create an overall more unified and better customer experience. But we've also changed how the agent works to be more pre-sales focused.
So is that like
to
trying
answer
to convert
questions?
people? Convert people?
Yeah.
Okay. Or not just support.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're also taking it beyond. Like they've started to do AI phone calls, and they start taking the phone calls, and it's similar to the chat, but you just talk with an AI bot for a little bit, and they try and resolve your issue. Of course, you always have to have a way to divert to an agent if needed. Yeah. But we did see our self-serve rate go way up when we put in an AI bot, and it's been hugely successful. We're also implementing it inside of our app to help do all sorts of things like create rules and stuff like that automatically with your cameras. Again, from the LiveX style bot, how can you have it like power functionality, like to use the app and to answer questions about the app, not necessarily like the detection stuff that's those that are core models.
Yeah.
And then, going with customer experience again, we're also using it with post-purchase. We, of course, use Parcel Lab. And then there's some really cool things with Parcel Lab, like we're setting up autoresponder emails for where's my order requests. And that way, if they reply to one of these post-purchase emails, the agent can actually just answer where their order is.
Yeah.
And that helps deflect a bunch. And then if not, it can put it into a ticket in Zendesk, which can then also handle it a little bit more. AI. Right. And that's a different thing, right? Because that's a different agent than the agent that we're using with LiveX. And they're all based on the big agents, like ChatGPT or Gemini. But
we talked about this on your podcast episode with Jen from Ollie, didn't we? We talked about like coming to a place where there's one AI agent who will then manage all of your AI agents, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the nice thing about AI and API integrations and all the buzzwords is they can usually connect with each other to pull data, because like that's what you said, you have to have the content for it to pull. And so these AI agents can pull data from all these other areas, but sometimes they're not great at talking to each other or working together. Is that where you think AI is going to go?
Oh, I mean, it's already going there, right? So in AI, you have what they call an MCP, which is Model Context Protocol. And basically that's how agents can connect. It basically gives like a set of instructions for how the agent can address or use, or, what it should gravitate towards, stay away from. And so they're developing these models so that you can have AI agents kind of talk to each other. But to your point, it still is growing and becoming like better and better, right? The ones that succeed the most are the ones that have the most info right at their core, which is part of the reason why we're consolidating as much as we can into LiveX. But we're starting to do really cool things through the agent, letting people sign up for SMS and email lists. And then we hook those into our engagement platforms. And, there's a lot that you can start doing. The sky is kind of the limit right now. But there's also a lot of experience that's not optimized. It's not great yet.
Yeah.
Like people are tired of interacting with big blocks of text.
Yeah.
So for our sales, and we understand that, like from the pre-sales agent versus the customer support agent. The customer support agent, people are more wanting answers, and so they're getting more verbose answers. But for the pre-sales agent, we're like, if the agent can tell that they're asking about a specific product, just show them the product cards. People don't want a long description or a bunch of text about what that product is. They want visual.
That's me.
Like you have to
learner. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just you. I mean, it's most people now in the way we're used to consuming content, right? Like from Reels to TikToks to live streams to, rich images. Like that's how we really want to consume and learn that content. And, the idea of a picture worth 1,000 words is still there.
Yeah.
We can generate 1,000 words a lot faster now, but really what we want to do is we want to get them into what they want right away. So rather than give them a big block of text, we're like, hey, here's this product that we think you're looking for and a couple other suggestions. And then we populate some pre-done questions for that product, like commonly asked questions about like Wyze campaign V4 or something. But you got to get people into the content. And that's, I think, the next phase is like, how do you take agents beyond the chat interaction into more just like natural interactions with people?
No, and one of my favorite things, and I say this all the time about you, is that I love to walk like a conference floor with you because you know technology really well, and you and Brianna and Michael, like you are the people that I can go to know that you're gonna like know how technology works, how to use it to its fullest. So I'm a brand, I'm starting to look into AI. What's the first thing that I should really be thinking about if like I'm just starting to tackle this idea of like automation and customer experience?
Just get started, like put something in. I think the lowest hanging fruit is how are you handling your customer support? If you're not using an agent for customer support, I think that's like, do it right away.
Yeah, for sure, right?
I would look at every aspect of your business and be like, what are we doing to implement this into that aspect? And I feel like in general, most people are doing that. So if you're not doing that right now, you're behind. So just get started.
Yeah. Well, I think some people worry as I'm talking to more brands, like, it seems the fear, I mean, most brands are obviously leveraging AI, but the big risk in diving deeper is like, well, what if it's wrong? What if there's this error rate? And I'm finding that it's just like humans have error rates. It's going to be wrong occasionally, and that's okay. And so don't worry too much about the risk, and just dive in and figure out where you can use it and where it can grow, where like something you can grow with.
I mean, exactly, 100%. Dive in, grow with it, because you will grow with the tool. The tool will grow with you. In fact, that's the core part of agentic things, right? Because what's happening is it's learning based on your use case of it, and it becomes better over time. And that's what we see with our models. We recently hired a new president and COO, Melissa Emer. She's brilliant. Really, really respect her. Very, very impressed with her at Wyze and her leadership. One of the things that she's done is she's really made us become more of a metric-focused organization. So the reason I was quickly able to tell you these metrics for like tickets closed with AI and everything is because she's developed like a regular reporting back. Yeah. And we're reporting on, the outputs of using these agents. And we don't just have like here's our agents and what are the data on our agents. No, you just have to start incorporating the reporting for what are the outputs that you're hoping from these right away. It's like, Bruce, we know we want self-service tickets. And how do we get more self-service tickets handled by the agent? And so that's something we're regularly tracking. We're looking at where's my order numbers. We're looking, those are inside of the self-service tickets, but you have to be constantly looking at that. Yeah. And have a feedback loop, like what is it doing? And then you have to tweak. So no, and I love that. This is exactly why I knew you'd be great for this talk, because we could just keep talking about this and you're like a wealth of knowledge, right? And so I think we need to have a follow-up conversation about this. It's giving me so many ideas of things, especially because all these things that you're launching, like I'd love to know how the sales agent and stuff is working, and especially as you guys go into next year. But if people want to connect with you, I always say LinkedIn is the best spot to connect with you on. And if somebody wants to get your opinion on AI, they can shoot you over a LinkedIn request and you can kick the tires on their stuff. But Logan, thanks for joining the conversation. I really appreciate it. Yeah, happy to be here. Hey everyone, super excited to be joined with Katie from Glossier. Have we known each other a year now?
I think over a year.
Is it? Okay, I for sure know it's coming up on a year for January when we hung out at the CX Mixer at NRF.
Yes.
I wanted to pick your brain today a little bit on like, what's something really cool that Glossier is using when it comes to AI in your customer experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I am such a big fan of AI when it's used discerningly. And I think there's like a lot of conversations about like the robots are going to take all of our jobs. And I don't think that they should do that. I think something that's really important about the Glossier customer experience is the team there. And I have people on my team who've been there for 7-8 years and know the brand and the product so well. And they are the reason we have good customer experiences. And the way I think about AI is a way to take things off of their plate so that they can focus on the stuff that you actually need a person for. It's totally fine to have an AI, pull a tracking link for Wizmo or help you with a return or an exchange if it allows a person to then get to spend half an hour on a skincare recommendation so they can get really down in the nitty gritty and give you something personalized. And I think that's how I'm really looking at AI, is this kind of like triage agent. So really looking at emails that come in, and we get a lot of questions about ways to engage with the brand, ways to partner with the brand, ways to connect with the brand. And AI has been such a great asset for us in figuring out where to send people to the right place. So for example, we are on TYB as a community space. Right now, it is available in the US. So if we have customers write in saying like, how do I partner with you? How do I get more involved? We can send US customers, say, join TYB. You can do challenges, you can earn coins, you can connect with us, versus a customer in, another part of the world where we might not be as established yet, but we'll let them know, sign up for our mailing list, keep an eye on our socials. We have more things coming soon. So really figuring out where to send people to get them the right information that our team could do, but super easy because it is a little bit more prescriptive for the AI to do. And then like my team gets to do the stuff that really you need a person for.
is it being conversational with these influencers or these people reaching out to you? Okay, so
Absolutely.
I guess I'm not super familiar with the behind the scenes of the beauty industry. Are you getting these requests a lot? Like, this is something that's kind of unique that is taking a lot off your agent's plate, or was this something that was okay?
We are getting 30 to 40% of our inquiries are just people who want to be more involved with the brand, whether that's be partnering with the brand. Is it like, oh, there's not a store near me. Like, how do I encourage you to build a store near me? Or like, are you going to have a pop-up? I saw you did this pop-up. Like, can you do another one near me? In addition to just replying to those, the AI also helps us with categorization in Gorgeous. So in actually setting the ticket field. So this is what the customer is writing in about, so that when I'm then pulling data about what are people asking, I have all that information from the AI. So I can say, oh, we have actually a lot of people this week write in about wanting new retail stores. That's interesting because we had an anniversary for a retail store, and I can kind of tell the story with that data that the AI is helping us collect.
Interesting, because 30 to 40% seems like a lot, right?
It's definitely the biggest that I've seen in my career. And I think that it's kind of wild that people are writing in not with traditional customer service inquiries, but we want to be more involved in the brand. We are very passionate about the brand. How cool is that?
Well, I think we've talked about that before. You guys are great at building out a community, whether it's on social media or stuff. So I'm sure people see that buzz and then they're like, how do I get to be part of it? Is this AI a sneaky sales agent? Obviously it's kind of protecting the brand identity and the actual customer experience, even from a influencer or getting, a brand ambassador. But is it encouraging people to go and purchase products, or is it doing other things that
That's
are...
such a great question. Not yet. I have some ideas for what I would like to do as I'm building out my AI chat for the future, and specifically where do we place the AI on site to help customers to steer them to new launches or help them build a basket, and then also bringing in, like we do in email, having the AI answer some more of the transactional chat questions, so that I do have, people in my retail stores who are staffing our live chat, which I think is pretty unique. So if you live chat us right now, you'll probably talk to somebody who is on the floor in the store right now and can help build you a routine. Yeah. But having the AI help supplement that with general product questions, we've done this for a while. We know when something comes out what the launch questions are going to be. And if we can set the AI up with, a one pager about, hey, here's all the nitty gritty about this product, and here is how to give customers the information that they need to buy it. I look at what my team does a lot as education, not just service, because there's a lot of questions for things like fragrances, for things like color cosmetics that people want to know if they can't try them. And that is what we are doing both in the AI side and the human side.
I imagine people are reaching out saying, does the gingerbread lip chapstick taste like gingerbread?
Yep.
Every
time. Yeah. What does it smell like? Does it have real gingerbread in it? Yeah. What is the tint like? And I mean, I have my team at home, and we have, and I will show you all of the bombs in front of us so that we can do swatches for people and say, okay, here is the gingerbread, and then here is the hot cocoa, and here is the espresso, and here are the tint differences.
Yeah. That's kind of been the theme of how can you take some of the mundane human tasks off, but not lose that human influence. And I know, obviously, from talking to you, that's a huge part of Glossier, is this human touch and everything that you guys are doing when it comes to the experience that you're providing for customers. When a brand that's hearing this and they're like, okay, I'm getting a lot of requests for loyalty or ambassadorship, what are things that they should be looking for in technology? Or when you're vetting out a new AI technology, what are you looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing is that there needs to be a way to follow an existing process and kind of some QA stop gaps. The thing that I always tell people when they're starting for AI is put aside your time and your team's time to do that QA, because I think especially with Gen AI, it can learn, but you need to be able to give it that feedback. And so I have somebody on my team, shout out to Annabelle, who is QAing our AI every week and giving them in the moment feedback and writing up, a one pager version of hey, Camille, who's the name of our AI agent, here is all the information you need about this new process specifically for them. So they kind of have their own trainer. So really just having that kind of, I look at it as a two-way street. The AI is doing a lot of work, but we also have to do a lot of work to make sure it has what it needs to be successful. It's almost like you're training a new agent. It's not just a one and done, turn it on, and then it's going to solve all of your tickets and solve all of your problems. Like, you're coaching it in real time. And I've been really lucky. I think our AI partner, Yuma, their team has been great and will hop onto Slack with me and troubleshoot things or, give feedback, and their CEO will jump in with suggestions. So I think it's really important to have a partnership like that and just make sure you're continuing to treat your AI like you would a regular agent and give it that coaching.
Where do you think that this type of technology or AI in general is moving? It's moving so fast, right? Like you mentioned a lot about your experience. I'm sure at previous positions, you probably weren't leveraging AI as much as you are now.
No.
And so let's just say like 12 months out, you think AI is going to be for CX?
Yeah. I'm really excited to see how AI is expanding across channels. Like I just mentioned, I'm working on expanding AI to chat. And I think like even just a year ago when I was looking at AI, it was really email focused. And now we're seeing like, how do we do AI for social? How do we do it for DMs, for comments, for chat, for phones, even for SMS, for WhatsApp? And I'm really excited to see what AI companies are doing to recognize and tailor the AI to the channel, because our phone voice versus our chat voice versus our social voice versus our email voice are very different. And you need a certain level of like robotic discernment to have a good experience there. I don't just want, an AI that's going to do the exact same thing no matter what channel and no matter who the customer is.
And I know from talking to you, you're not a big fan of phone.
I'm not. No, we don't have live phones. So I have been pitched AI for phones and I'm still skeptical of it. But listen, I believe that the technology could get there one day where I maybe think, oh, this could be a good idea. But you know me, I'm very anti-phones. And I think we have such a customer base that's very engaged online. Yeah. Like there are months where we get more Instagram DMs than email because our customers are on Instagram and they're like, I'm just going to DM them. Why would I want to open my email app and send an email?
I'm still trying to figure out how to get into your Slack channel, your super secret Slack channel for brand loyalists.
Super secret Slack channel. Listen, I was talking to somebody on our brand team the other day about all the exciting things they're doing in 2026 for Glossier Labs, our super secret Slack channel, and I am excited to get more involved. So who knows?
You need a middle-aged Midwest dad to give you some opinions on.
Listen, you're an influencer for Glossier UEDP. Like,
I know. I'll be like, I've got a lot of good lip balm ideas. We could do like corn on the cob. Let's see, what are some other tater tot hot dish?
Do you know about Glossier's infamous shower corn?
No.
Okay, this is not about AI at all, but I do think this is like fun brand irreverence. We have the first time we released our beauty bag, which is like a makeup case, the photographer shot it in a shower and there was just an ear of corn. And just to like be fun and irreverent. And all anybody talked about the whole campaign was, but why is there corn? And we ended up using those images and like the corn as part of our holiday campaign that year because everybody was so obsessed with shower corn. Shower corn still brings me joy. So maybe showercornbomb.com.
Oh, and how easy would it be to include corn in the background of photos with AI?
So easy.
Time to start doing it.
Just put corn in there.
Well, I think that's the best way to end this conversation.
To end it on corn.
End it on corn, because I think then that way this will be the most memorable thing, and that's what everybody will talk about afterwards. But as always, I appreciate your energy and your insight. And if people want to connect with you, they can connect with you on LinkedIn or see one of your plays in New York.
Yeah. Come see me be a playwright as well as a CX manager.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Larry.
So let's say a customer's like, hey, I'm so upset that I was not able to get my hands on the Sydney Sweeney's. Like, oh no, I'm so sorry, those suds got away from you. And I'm like, not the appropriate tone.
Yeah. I just quick pulled up ChatGPT and wrote, tell me everything you know about Larry from Park Lab. He describes himself as the Midwest dad and hype king of CX. I'm gonna have to read this and really think about myself.